Another nothing-to-lose protest? 13. Chinese banks run out of money, trends online. Chinese companies hiring only for salary scams, swindling 35 million. FBI director says, China's hackers outnumber FBI cyber agents 50 to 1. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Another nothing-to-lose protest? 13. Chinese banks run out of money, trends online. Amid economic downturns, China sees an upsurge in layoffs and wage reductions, with a novel form of protest emerging, women demonstrating by going nude. In detail, on X platform, it was reported that on April 11, several property owners of incomplete buildings in Luoyang, Hunan, gathered at the Zhongyuan Bank to demand refunds. A notable moment at the protest was when the woman stripped to her waist and yelled, "Give back our money." This coincided with April 12 news of banks facing austerity, reigniting discussions on inverted salary claims. According to China News Weekly, financial disclosures from China's 6 largest state-owned banks indicate a widespread decrease in average salaries, with the exception of China Merchants Bank and Industrial Bank. Notably, China Merchants Bank's average salary saw minimal change from 2022, hovering at 573,800 yuan, around $79,300. WIN's data for 2023 shows that the total salaries of 13 major national banks like the Bank of Communications and the Bank of China totaled 869.668 billion yuan, approximately $120.2 billion, a significant slowdown in growth of more than 60% from the previous year's 5.85%. And some banks experienced a dramatic reduction in total salary expenditures. Particularly, banks such as CITIC, Industrial, Everbright, and Ping An reported substantial salary cuts amounting to as much as $173 million. The practice of reverse salary claims, which involves reclaiming previously distributed pay based on performance reviews, is becoming increasingly standard. Over 10 major banks, including China Merchants Bank and Bank of China, documented in their 2023 annual reports the procedures they have in place for adjusting and recovering salaries tied to employee performance, highlighting a broader industry shift toward more stringent financial controls. The recovery of performance-based pay in banks now extends beyond executives to include key risk management personnel and those whose work directly affects the bank's risk profile. Additionally, with cost-cutting and efficiency being prioritized, many bank employees face the possibility of job redundancy. Annual reports for 2023 show a decline in employee numbers at several major banks, including reductions of thousands at institutions like Industrial and Commercial Bank and Agricultural Bank. This downsizing corresponds with negative revenue growth reported by 13 of the 22 A-share-listed banks, highlighting a challenging economic environment for the banking sector. Growing alarm as extreme measures used to voice discontent. The case of the women demonstrating by going nude mentioned above was not an isolated incident. On April 9, another woman was seen protesting naked at Beijing's Tiananmen Square, pleading, "Help spread the word about the Yangzhou case." There has been no official response, which has prompted online remarks about China's harsh authoritarianism. A similar incident occurred at Jining Normal College in Ulankub, Inner Mongolia, where a naked woman caused a stir in the male dormitories by vandalizing the area, attracting many onlookers. School officials clarified that she was not a student but an external individual, and the police are investigating. However, some students claim she is indeed from their school and acted out due to emotional disputes. Another bizarre incident in Shanghai involved a woman who walked naked and climbed a utility pole, ultimately falling to her death. According to the account Petricher on the X platform, nobody intervened during her distress, leading to a tragic outcome and reflecting deep societal issues in Shanghai. Netizens across China have expressed their thoughts on these events, noting the extreme measures some are taking to voice their discontent, questioning the recent surge in societal issues, and highlighting ongoing financial injustices and government overreach. This rising trend of dramatic protests underscores a broader sense of desperation and loss of control within the country. Chinese companies hiring only for salary scams, swindling 35 million. A new type of fraud has emerged in China. the Shanghai Pudong New Area People's Procuratorate is prosecuting a shocking case involving a gang of professional salary scammers. According to local media reports, the gang, led by individuals surnamed Yang and Tao, has been operating since 2020. They falsified educational credentials and work experience to get hired at various companies. Once employed, they fabricated client visit records to make it appear as if they were working diligently, all in order to collect salaries and expense reimbursements. When the defrauded companies realized these employees weren't delivering any results and tried to fire them, some of the scammers would stall for time by claiming they were seeking clients or that client funds were imminent, allowing them to fraudulently collect even more pay. Official statistics reveal that over 260 companies fell victim to this scheme, with losses totaling more than 35 million yuan, about $4.8 million USD. Reportedly, one female member of the gang, surnamed Guan, only has a high school education. Yet she and her husband managed to get hired at over 100 companies in Shanghai in just a few years. Guan boasted that at the peak of their scam, she and her husband were each simultaneously employed at more than 10 companies per month, raking in monthly salaries of over 200,000 yuan, about $30,000 per person. Her husband, surnamed Su, worked at a staggering 197 companies over 2 years, illegally obtaining nearly 2 million yuan in wages, about $276,400. So far, 188 people have been prosecuted in this series of salary fraud cases, with 178 already sentenced. Prosecutor Xue from the Pudong New Area Procuratorate was shocked by the victim's statements, highlighting a severe case where a business had established a Shanghai branch and recruited 85 salespeople who all turned out to be fraudsters using fake credentials. This not only devastated the subsidiary's operations and tarnished its reputation, but also undermined the parent company's trust in Shanghai's business climate. The widespread success of these salary fraud schemes is largely due to the lack of rigorous background checks, insurance verification, and performance monitoring by many small and medium-sized enterprises. To combat this, the Shanghai government has now advised businesses to implement stringent screening processes for new hires, reinforce internal controls, and ensure accurate social insurance contributions to thwart such frauds in the future. News of this salary scam gang has sparked heated discussion online in China. One commenter lamented, "Hardworking people can't find jobs while companies hoping to grow and thrive are getting scammed into shutting down, indirectly driving up unemployment." One netizen offered a scathing commentary on the broader implications. Why is fraud becoming increasingly rampant and brazen? It used to be street gangs exploiting children and the disabled to con people out of cash. Now, fraud has been industrialized and moved into the corporate world, operating in plain sight on a much grander scale, with ever-ballooning sums of money. What does this say about our society? It means the very fabric of our culture and ethics is rotting away, and the maggots in this cesspool of decay are only growing fatter. FBI director says, China's hackers outnumber FBI cyber agents 50-1. On April 11, FBI Director Christopher Wray testified before the House Appropriations Committee that the Chinese Communist Party, which rules China as a single-party state, was sparing no expense in its attempts to hack, lie, cheat, and steal its way to the top as a global superpower. He asserted that China has a bigger hacking program than all other major nations combined. According to him, the U.S. intelligence community is ill-prepared to deal with the threat and lacks the professional staff to counter it. He stated, if each one of the FBI's cyber agents and intelligence analysts focused exclusively on the PRC threat, the PRC's hackers would still outnumber FBI cyber personnel by at least 50-1. PRC, People's Republic of China, is the official name of China. Mr. Wray's warning follows several high-profile cyber attacks on the U.S. government and U.S. critical infrastructure, believed to have been perpetrated by Chinese state-backed hackers. In February, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, warned that the Chinese Communist Party was embedding malware in U.S. systems as a precaution for potential major conflicts. This came alongside testimony from senior U.S. intelligence officials, including Mr. Ray, revealing that Chinese malware had been removed from over 600 routers critical to U.S. infrastructure. This malware was reportedly capable of facilitating attacks on these systems in the event of a CCP-led assault on Taiwan. Mr. Ray highlighted the unique nature of these cyber intrusions, pointing out their specific targeting of civilian systems that could directly harm U.S. citizens by disrupting, degrading, and destroying vital infrastructure. This cyber strategy was seen as potentially synchronizing with military operations should a conflict over Taiwan arise. Mr. Ray emphasized the broader risks, stating, "Cyber threats to our critical infrastructure represent real-world threats to our physical safety." Reiterating the threat on April 11, Mr. Ray described the CCP's cyber activities as preparations for a future war, involving the accumulation of dual-use technologies and developing a sophisticated arsenal of cyber capabilities aimed at other nations. He underscored the urgency of addressing this growing cyber threat, particularly as 2027 approaches, a year the CCP might target for an invasion of Taiwan, highlighting the critical role of future appropriations by the committee in countering these risks. U.S. infrastructure is not the only target that the CCP has set its sights on in recent years. The regime has also launched cyber attacks against several of the nation's allies and their militaries. For instance, Chinese state-backed hackers gained long-term access to a Dutch defense network last year. Further investigations have linked these Chinese actors to some of the largest online influence operations in the world, supported by Chinese intelligence and law enforcement. FBI Director Christopher Wray emphasized that the CCP represents the most significant threat to U.S. national security and international stability. He stated, "The greatest long-term threat to our nation's ideas, innovation, and economic security is from PRC foreign intelligence and economic espionage." Ray also highlighted that these actions threaten more than just economic security, they pose a broader national security risk. The PRC aims to modify the international rules-based system for its advantage, often flouting established international norms and laws. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.